Hey everybody, welcome back once again to the RetroGameFix.com Retro Jones podcast number 88. This is your host, Mitch.
And this is Mike.
And here we are at episode 88. Once again, it's really, sometimes I just look back and I'm like, my God, it's hard to believe we're actually have made it this far.
We've done 88 of these motherfuckers. Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Well put. So anyway, today, today has kind of been a little bit of a slow news week, but we kind of got a lot of things that have been going on here and there. So if we end up with a shorter podcast, then fine. Last time we kind of counted on going for a shorter podcast, it ended up being like super long. So we'll see. We'll just see where it goes. So anyway, what's going on, Mike? I know a couple things have been going on in your world.
Yeah, there's a few things. Actually, some No Man's Sky news.
Right,
I've got some what I've been playing, so we can hit on a few things there that'll take us places, and then some collecting news because there was a sale at Half Price Books, and then I think you got some pinball news. But I think first we should probably get the No Man's Sky stuff out of the way. It's a topic I didn't really plan on going back to, but I feel like we should just talk about it and move on.
I'm down, dude. I think it's one of those fascinating topics I always like talking about.
So let's start there. So anyway, No Man's Sky. Here's some backstory. I don't know if you caught it, but last week some news came out that people on Steam and PlayStation were actually getting refunds through the PlayStation Network and Steam,
I totally missed that.
Okay, with a variety of playtime. So Steam has a 2-hour playtime limit, or 48 hours, I believe, where you can actually get a refund for a game. And PlayStation Network does not. I mean, 0 refunds available. And I feel like, I feel like the Steam policy is actually pretty good. We don't get game demos anymore. And sometimes, especially on PC, games are just flat out broken. Right. So the 2 hours, I feel like, gives you enough time to try to troubleshoot those problems, or at least even just see if you like a game. Anyway, reports were some players getting refunds that have played anywhere from 40, 50, 60 hours. And that seems a bit ridiculous to me. But if Steam is willing to give these people the refund, I wouldn't be mad at the person getting the refund. I mean, Steam gave them the refund for whatever reason, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And
can't fault them for that.
Yeah,
I mean, fault the user.
You can't, right? Like, look, yeah, I played 50 hours of this game. Maybe they even liked it and tried to get one over on them. Hey, man, at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and get upset about what is probably a small subset of people getting a refund. They worked the channels, they got their refund. But what's funny is I just sent you a video of the original. So the original E3 trailer from 2014.
Yep.
And what we actually got out of No Man's Sky. And that just one example is jarring, right? It opens up, there's all these great big planets, it looks effing amazing. That was the trailer that you were reacting to that I sent you a couple podcasts back, and you were like, yeah, I want this.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Turns out that's not what No Man's Sky is. In this video where it starts out with the Jurassic Park thing, a lot of people have probably seen it. No Man's Sky ends up just being not that, essentially.
Well, yeah, because the video basically comes up with the like da 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 da, like the Jurassic Park in like the beginning of the original E3 trailer, and then it cuts, and then it shows like this clunky looking dinosaur thing that was like, clunkily moving around. I just made up a word, but just like moving around with like the music was still the Jurassic Park music, but somebody had like a shitty accordion track playing. It was pretty freaking brilliant. That was awesome.
Right. So the thing is, if you go back and listen to a lot of the things that were promised and weren't delivered, there's a huge exhaustive list, right? And look, it's marketing. I'm actually not going to be on the side of, hey, anytime you show a demo or anytime you're promised something, it needs to make the game, right? And I'm also not going to fall into this, but this game said this and still got a review. Not going to go into that either. We're still talking about No Man's Sky. What's most offensive to me at this point is the fact that that E3 trailer is still on the Steam product page.
Oh, so it's almost like false advertisement at this point.
Right. So at this point, we know that's not the game.
Yeah.
And that is still on the Steam product page. And for that reason, I don't know if the 2-hour period should apply. I mean, look, 2 hours is barely scratching the surface of a game like this, kind of, right? And if you see that trailer and you're playing it and you're going, well, maybe it gets better. Maybe some of this stuff shows up. Maybe it's later in the game, right?
Yeah. Right.
And all of a sudden you get 5, 6, 7, 8 hours in, and that's the trailer they've shown, and now you're 5, 6, 7, 8 hours in, and that's not what you're getting.
Right.
I feel like that's pretty blatant, and I feel like that's a reason that you should be able to get a refund. Now, are people going to abuse that? Yeah, they are. Here's a note. Don't have bullshit trailers on the Steam product page.
Right.
So
yeah, well, that's the thing. And somebody should win an award for that trailer too. I mean, I have to preface this entire thing by, well, it's not even prefacing it at this point, but you know what I mean? Basically, I have not played it, so I couldn't tell you from experience or anything like that. But it sounds like it's a turd. It sounds like there are people passionate on both sides of this as well.
I think so, and hey, if there's still people playing it and having a good time, I think that's fine. And it keeps creeping up, and it's just, again, people have used examples. Well, BioShock Infinite said it was going to have multiplayer, and what was it? Metal Gear Solid 3 apparently was saying you were going to play as Snake, and you ended up playing as Raiden, right? Like, yeah, that wouldn't fly today, but that was 20 years ago. So get over it. Stop reaching. I have a problem with trying to draw comparisons, and it's like, just because other games did it and got good reviews or did it and got, ridiculed, it doesn't make it okay in those instances either. But this time we're talking about No Man's Sky. We're talking about a producer, director of the game, and Sean Murray, that over and over and over, to the point of almost being a compulsive liar, continued to push this game on the likes of Stephen Colbert, late night with Seth Meyers, I believe, over and over and over and over again, and never came back on any of it to say, hey, look, guys, we want to curb the enthusiasm. We understand your hype for the game. Unfortunately,
is his name Mike Kennedy by chance?
No, his name isn't Mike Kennedy, but it probably should be.
It probably should be.
And all the while, they had every opportunity to come back and say, "Hey guys, you know what? Here's the things that we promised. Due to whatever, we couldn't deliver. I'm sorry." But instead, they took the money, and they can take the money too. But at the same time, I feel like consumers are entitled to get their money back as well, depending on the circumstances. Obviously, it's not easy to police. I was actually kind of on the side of like, hey, you buy it. Since the beginning of time, you buy a game, you don't like it, you usually can't get your money back. But the fact,
unless your name is Mike and you buy a Sega Saturn,
right? I've found a way through those, and I've leveraged those channels multiple times. But the fact that trailer is still on the Steam product page, I'm like, nope, F off.
Yep.
So
I hear you.
Anyway, so just want to get that off my chest. It's embarrassing, and look, are people going to abuse getting refunds? Probably. It's Steam policy that if you're under 2 hours played, you can get a refund. That's policy. Go ahead and get that refund. PlayStation Network is no longer offering refunds. That's fine. But I'm going to tell you, moving forward, Hello Games especially, but I think any company is going to have to be pretty cognizant of the fact that stop showing bullshit trailers that you can't deliver on. And this one is just egregious. So
interesting. Well, I don't know. To me, there have been some. I mean, if this guy for me, I mean, you know more about the whole situation than I do, and we talk about it on here. But you send me articles and stuff like that where I'm like, God, that's fascinating. I don't know. It's just interesting. It's like we talked about with the whole Mike Kennedy situation that I prefaced earlier. It's like, man, I don't know why, but I'm just like, I'm totally fascinated by these situations. But yeah, that it kind of seems like it's deceptive right now. And, like you said, I'm sure some people are abusing it, and I'm sure some people, like, I'm sure a lot of these people deserve to get their money back too. If it's
right. Unfortunately, you can't have one without the other in some of these circumstances. And that's, that's just the way it goes. But I'd rather err on the side of giving those, with legitimate concerns, actual customer service, while letting a couple people sneak through and getting their $60 back. To be honest, I feel like that's a better way to do business, and I feel like the ultimate way to do business is to not put a director of a game, even though it's a small indie studio, They started pushing this thing with Sony funding behind them at $60 and pushed it as a AAA title. I don't care if there's only 10 or 8 or whatever fucking people on your team.
Right.
Go spend the, whatever it's going to cost, $50,000, $100,000 on a third-party PR firm to make sure this doesn't happen, right? Just spend that money, because now you found yourself in a huge mess where, as a studio, I don't think anybody's going to trust another thing this studio says coming out with the project moving forward. And that's
well, it kind of seems like from the beginning too, it's just been like hyped and hyped and hyped and hyped for so long. Like I had said before it even came out, I was like, it just seems like one of those dangerous things, It's like we use the Chinese Democracy, Guns N' Roses Chinese Democracy is as kind of the example there. It's kind of hard to live up to the hype, even though Chinese Democracy I thought was good. It's not probably 14 years good. Nothing is.
No. Well, and look, some of this stuff you can't always get in front of hype, and certainly. But the problem I have with this particular example versus other examples, there wasn't huge hype surrounding other games that have like, again, BioShock Infinite not getting multiplayer. That was a cutting room floor thing, but there wasn't this huge hype around it. They came out and said, "Hey, we're not going to have that." And for 2 years now, this studio had every opportunity to at least try to manage expectations. And I hate to break it to indie studios or anyone that listens or anybody else, and I'm not going to be Mr. Business here, but managing prospect or potential customer expectations is part of your job if you have a product to sell, and you can't always do that. Certainly you're not going to do it with a game this big. People love exploration games, but to continue to perpetuate the vague message or not come out and be very clear about the expectations that have been set and actually tell us what your game is, that's bullshit. Because a lot of times people have come out and said, "What is this game?" And they never gave a real answer. So then they asked questions. "Well, can you do this?" And they always said, "Yeah." And you go out, there's a Jimquisition video that's 15 minutes long, and I can put it in the show notes, but he points out everything. And it's just this Sean Murray, the director of the game, just, "Well, can you have factions?" And he's like, "Yeah." "Can you have space battles?" "Yeah." Can you name your ship?" "Yeah." "Can you do this?" "Yeah." And it's like, I don't think he had the heart to say no.
Yeah.
Because it's disappointing on so many levels, and it's certainly not only the developer that holds all of the onus here. I'm not trying to say that it is, but what I am saying is there was zero effort given to try to manage that hype. And if they did give some if they would have went out of their way, or at least even just gave some effort to say, "Look, we're not going to be able to deliver on what we promised, but here is what we're going to deliver on," I feel like that would have went a long way. And even to this point, they haven't sent an apology. They haven't sent any sort of messaging to say that, we missed the mark, but some of this stuff is coming.
Right.
They went radio silent, which is an even bigger indictment on their lack of public relations and community management, and I think that really says a lot about their lack of experience. And at the end of the day, you started to play in a space that they weren't comfortable, and unfortunately, they got paid, so it technically hasn't completely bit them in the ass. But have fun selling us your next game, Hello Games.
Yep, awesome, absolutely. Well, so we've got other stuff to talk about as far as that goes. Let's shift off a little bit as far as that goes. Tell us a little bit about what you've been playing this week, Mike.
So I grabbed a few games throughout the week. Actually, yeah, let's start there. So I grabbed Madden, and I've constantly said I'm not going to buy Madden, and every year I buy Madden. This is a broken record.
So the Gronkowski Madden 17?
This is the Gronk Madden. I got my 9 hours through EA Access, and I played a couple more games and went, you know what? This isn't as bad as what I thought, and it's not bad. Look, as far as football games go, it's actually really good. My gripe was always, I just don't know if I enjoy football games anymore. I just don't know if I find them fun. But I found myself having a bit more fun with it. And then Best Buy had it on sale for $50, so I got it for $40. I felt, well, you know what? That's probably a good enough price.
That's a good price.
And now the one thing that they're doing this year.
Tell me about that, because like, what makes it fun as opposed to like last year?
So they've
because we seem like a broken record.
So this year they've done a few things. They've actually added more on-screen tutorials as far as like, hey, hit this button to catch. Hey, hit this. Hey, do this. An actual arrow where your running back is going. Now you can turn all of these things off, but they are very helpful, especially if you've been away from the series for a while.
Yeah.
That's not what's really turned me onto the game so much as the fact that the games that I've probably played 4 or 5 games now, they play realistic. The gameplay seems more fluid, but most importantly, I used to turn the commentary off, right? Because it was brutal. This year,
it has been.
It has been. Yeah, this year they went out and they hired, I think, the one of Georgia Tech. Or the University of Georgia, one of the Georgia announcers.
Okay.
And then some other guy, some relatively not national broadcasters, but people that they could get cheaper so they could continue to come in and do commentary. Mm-hmm. And so every week they have a commentary update. So for me, my plan is to play Madden week to week. So next Sunday, I'll play the Vikings game in my franchise, probably before the Vikings play on Sunday.
Okay, so like the Packers game?
Right, and then do it for the Packers game, and then so on and so forth. Don't we open up at the Titans?
We open up with the Titans. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah,
I thought for some reason I was thinking like this, since it's Monday, like this week.
Right. So then the cool part is with these commentary updates that come in, they'll be like, so next week I'll be starting Sam Bradford. With the commentary updates, they'll be able to say, hey, you know what? Teddy Bridgewater's down, dislocated his knee, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh.
That's actually kind of interesting.
That's really cool. And so my plan was for the $40, look, I'm just going to play a game a week by the end of the season with playoffs. Games take 40 to an hour. I'll be like, I'll get 20 hours of it. I'll get my $40 worth. And I think that extra commentary and I think that stuff will keep it engaging. And from the games I've played so far, I've actually enjoyed it. And I think that was kind of the extra push where I was like, yeah, you know what? This might be fun to just play along with the season this year. So I'm going to.
So with that logic that you're predicting with playing 20 hours that the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl?
Well, I'm going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I'll win the Super Bowl.
You'll win the Super Bowl. The Vikings will get really close and then kick us in the nuts in the most excruciating way ever.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was that.
Realistic.
I started Wind Waker HD. I don't have a lot to comment there, other than
how far have you gotten?
Just through the first dungeon. So I got on the boat, went to the first dungeon. So I'm just there. Play a little more Super Mario Land 3D, and then that led me to go. You know what? I got this new 3DS XL.
Yep.
I want to go get a game that requires the new 3DS XL. So I went and picked up Xenoblade Chronicles, which was originally a Wii U game. It's a kind of an action. Well, it's kind of a JRPG with some Western elements. It's not completely turn-based, but the combat is really cool. I had it on the Wii. It was a GameStop exclusive, actually, so it's super expensive on the Wii.
Yeah.
And I was like, I tweeted it out and said, should I play my Wii copy or should I get it on 3DS? And a lot of people are like, it looks great on Wii. And I was like, yeah, but I started to think about it, and I wanted something to take advantage of the new 3DS. I also wanted something that I could just play in bed and chip away at. And I went and picked it up. And so here's the thing. It plays great. It's mind-blowing to me that they actually fit Xenoblade Chronicles on a 3DS cartridge.
Right.
Obviously there were concessions made because I did boot up the Wii version. Look, it doesn't look as good as the Wii version. It's not going to. But what I really wanted to try was the new shoulder buttons and the C-stick.
Okay.
And the C-stick for the right, it's essentially the nub. I think most people know this, but it's essentially one of those like IBM mouse nubs that are on.
Oh, so it's basically like when you I mean, obviously it doesn't roll or anything like that, but because it doesn't move either. Really.
No, it's just pressure sensitive.
Yeah.
And that runs the right camera. Okay. It actually works extremely well.
Really?
And I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm in. I hope we see more of this. Obviously, we're probably not going to get more of it with the 3DS, with the NX coming out, and we'll see how long they support it. There was a Nintendo Direct where they highlighted a bunch of 3DS stuff, I think maybe we'll serial at night that, and I'll save some reactions for the next Retro Jones. But yeah, no, the new 3DS, man, I think it's cool, and I'm gonna definitely play through Xenoblade on the 3DS. I'll probably chip away at it an hour here. It's like a 60-hour game, so it's gonna, take me a while. But
I was wondering about that too, and I think I asked this on last podcast too. I just don't remember what you said. So besides Xenoblade, what else is exclusive for the new 3DS? Do you know?
I don't
off the hand.
No, I don't think there's a lot. I mean, there's certainly games that are hype, but
yeah, because I was wondering about the C stick. I was like, how does this work? I was like, is this like, because I have absolutely no way to play it without that particular game. But.
Yeah, let me see if I can find something real quick to see if there's anything. So, you've got Xenoblade Chronicles, some game called The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which is an indie game. Mm-hmm. Wind Up Night 2 or Wind Up Night 2. I don't know. Mini Mario and Friends something. Lifespeed. Future Idiom. I don't know what that is. Runbow and Forma 8. So yeah, I don't. And then Xenoblade.
So besides Xenoblade, there's really no reason to get a new 3DS.
No.
Well, I mean, supposedly.
Other than there
and stuff.
Yeah, I am actually really enjoying the eye tracking on the smaller version. It's been really working well for me.
Do you? Let me ask you this: do you use the also on the new 3DS? They also have a lighting detector which automatically raises the lighting on the screen or lowers it. Do you use that?
I'm not. At least I guess I don't know. I didn't realize that was a thing. I don't notice my brightness going up or down.
You would notice if you had.
Then I must not have it enabled because my brightness is always the same. If I walk into a dark room, it doesn't change anything.
Well, let me tell you this. Don't ever turn it on. It is absolutely the worst thing ever.
Okay. Yeah.
I turned it on because you got me really interested this week in checking out my 3DS again. You got me really excited about, because and anybody who listens to the show, I was super into it for the longest time, and I still am. I just kind of put it down for a little bit until I guess you started talking about your new 3DS, and so this week I picked mine up and I put that back. I think I accidentally put that back on, and ugh. I mean, it's horrible.
I hate that automatic light adjustment stuff. One of my older TVs tried to do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Has it ever worked? No.
No, none of that. It's all, but like anything, those are just those back of the box things that don't cost them anything, that are like, here's a reason to buy it, and then no one ever uses it.
Well, that's the thing, because if I'm in a dark room, for some reason, it darkens the screen. No, that's not it. It does something where it has the opposite of the desired effect. I couldn't even tell you right off the top of my head. But every time I'm like, you need to be brighter. I can't see anything on this,
Yeah. So,
but
anyway. if you're looking for a cool JRPG to play on a Western / JRPG, I guess I should say, Xenoblade is definitely worth it.
I might check it out. What did you get it for?
With GCU, I got it for $32. So that's never goes on sale, and I don't know if it's in print anymore. There was only a couple Best Buys locally that still had it in stock, so I was like, what the hell?
I might have to check that out. That sounds pretty cool.
So, and then real quick, the other thing. So, Half Price Books had its 20% off all weekend for Labor Day. I hit a couple Half Price books. I found a GameCube Twilight Princess that would have been $40, and I passed on it. I'm trying, like I've mentioned, back with the collecting and everything else.
You kind of got to rein it in.
I went, you know what? I can only buy games. I can only buy games I plan on playing at this point. Aside from finishing that Wii U collection and the Sega Master System stuff, those alts that we need to get. I looked at it and went, that's going to be cool, but I'm going to, spend the $40, put it on my shelf, and I'm never going to do anything with it. And so I'm reining that back in. So I did not pull the trigger, and instead went and spent the $40 on Madden and the $30 on the Xenoblade, because I will play both of those. And so that's that.
Right on. Well, I did a little bit of that. I did a lot of gaming this week. We always do a lot of gaming. That goes without saying. But as I mentioned a second ago, I got my 3DS. You inspired me to get my 3DS back out. And I think literally right after we got off the podcast last Sunday, I was talking about the Williams Pinball Arcade. And I read a couple more reviews on it. And I was like, there was kind of mixed reviews, like the Metacritic. Everything. It was about a 7 or something. People were like, some people were like, it's great. Some people are like, it's whatever. You know, the physics on this game is bad and the physics on this game is bad. So anyway, long story short, I found it for $10 from a guy that had it in town off of eBay. And the thing is, it was like $2 to ship it. I mean, $10 including shipping. And it was like, I'm not driving to, in this case, Lawrenceville. I'm just going to wait a day and get it, you know?
Yep.
So anyway, so I got it for $10 total off of from a guy here, and I got it literally next day, which is awesome. I threw it in my 3DS. My initial reaction was like, this sucks. You know, I don't like it. The physics are totally wrong, blah, blah, blah. You know, I totally... Essentially, some of those comments that I was reading, I was like, I feel that. That's totally what I am getting here. But... So I went to work, came back later that day, and I put my kid down for a nap, and I was like, I'm going to try this again, because they do have some cool tables in there. They have some of my favorites. They have Whirlwind, which I have. Pinbot is in it, which it's like, somehow it's like my grail that should be easier to find than it is locally. They got Gorgar, which is fantastic. Taxi, amazing game. Space Shuttle, great. My God, I don't even remember what the other ones are, but there's 7 pinball tables total. And so I fired it up again, threw the 3D on, and lo and behold, I'm like, the physics are not bothering me on this. And 2 hours later, I'm still playing it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like addicted to this, you know, because the cool thing about it in pinball in general, once you learn the rule set and once you learn like what you're supposed to do in each new table that you've never been, never played before. Like I'd never played Taxi for some reason, but you basically go on their tutorial and there's like an 86-page, like, this is how you do everything, which is really makes it a lot more fun, because otherwise it's not as much fun if you're just trying to like keep the ball from draining. You want to actually have something to do. So I love it. Somehow it's fantastic. I would say, get it, snap that up. If you like anything about pinball, it's awesome. The physics are a little wonky to begin with, but like, it kind of plays like a early 80s like Bally game or something like that, a little slower and a little almost like you're in zero gravity, but it's pretty awesome. I play it every single night. I guess I've been playing it every single night of the entire week. And you know what, on Whirlwind, I already knew everything on there, and Pinbot I pretty much did, but there were a couple things on there because if you want, you can go through and like, choose like there are certain goals that you have to achieve, and that's what kind of makes it fun too. But there are a couple things on Pinbot where I was like, oh, I guess I didn't realize how that particular thing worked. So it kind of clarified a little bit of the rule set for me, that even though I own the machine for several years, I guess I kind of never picked up on. So
I think that's actually a good point to make. I feel like with pinball, especially in games, I feel like a lot of times people overlook the rules and objectives because it's like, hey, I'm just not going to pin a ball around and I need to get top score. But there are actual objectives to these games. And I think once you learn those, even on a handheld, where maybe the physics aren't exactly right and some of that stuff doesn't hit on point completely, that if it's good enough, it doesn't completely take away from the objectives and the fun of actually playing the game.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the thing is too, and here's my other thing, and I used to do, like, when I first, years ago, probably 6 or 7 years ago, I did these virtual pinball tables, and I see a lot of people still doing them now, so I guess people might be buying them. I ended up selling several of them and kind of seeding my arcade hobby to some extent with that. But the cool thing I always liked about it was always like, did you ever play one of those at my house, Mike?
No, you had it when I was there, but I don't know if something was wrong with it. I guess I don't recall actually playing it. But I remember you booted it up, and I don't think I played it, but I've watched plenty of the videos, and I think there certainly are a cool concept. I just don't. I don't know enough about it.
The thing is, it doesn't play like a real pinball, but that's okay. It's 2D, It's not. I mean, it's quote unquote 3D, but it's not actually 3D like a 3DS or whatever. or it's not like, it doesn't play like a real pinball table, but it plays like something that's pretty cool. So the thing I always liked about that is you could pretty much download any recreation of any table and kind of learn the rule set. You could just play anything and just get semi-decent at them. That, I'll tell you what, with that as well, when I first got, I don't know if I probably told this story before, but I don't remember. One of the pinballs that I used to have was Bally Dr. Dude, which,
oh yeah, Dr. Dude, man,
which is awesome. Like now I'm like, oh my God, I wish I still had that. It's ridiculous. It's so 80s. It's totally like Bill and Ted-esque, but it's, to the next level or something of cheesiness. But you gotta love it. It's amazing. So my wife and I, it was my wife's birthday like 6 years ago or something like that, I think. And there was a garage sale in town that I had seen on Craigslist, and somebody was like, Dr. Dude pinball machine, $50. And I emailed the guy, and I was like, at the time I was like, did you mean $500? Did you leave out a digit in there? And he texts me back or emails me back and says, no, it's $50. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to have a raffle, for everybody that's there gets to pick a number, and whoever gets the lowest number gets to buy it for $50. So I was like, awesome. So it was my wife's birthday this Saturday. She's still trying to sleep in. I'm like, get up. And she's like, no, I don't want to get up. And I was like, come on, we can if we go there with both of us, we'll both get to pick a number and we'll have twice the opportunity to get it, Mm-hmm. And so grudgingly, she goes with me to this garage sale. And of course I picked the highest number and they want the lowest number. So I picked the very highest number. This is my shit luck. My wife picks 3, which happened to be the lowest number. And we get to buy this thing for $50. So the only the problem with it, look, I'll pay $50 for any Williams System 11. That's my favorite era, bar none, for sure. I'll pay $50 at any time, at any point. I don't care what condition it's in. If it's complete, if it's in just the worst condition, I'll buy it. So anyways, this thing playfield was in pretty good condition. Everything was in good condition because this guy actually was home use only. Which actually, now that I think about it, makes me even more sick that we got rid of it. But it was never maintained, so there's lots of crap wrong with it. Like half the GI lighting was out, which every System 11 has that exact same problem. Like the connector heats up and then burns off, and then you just have to basically repin it and everything. But so anyway, long story short, so getting back to the virtual pinball, what I really liked about that is when I was fixing that, or if I ever needed to do maintenance on my pinbot, I would play that game, that recreation of the table, and look for any sounds that I was missing, any actions that I was basically look for anything that wasn't happening in the real thing. And actually, one thing that was cool about the Williams Pinball Hall of Fame was that with my Whirlwind, I kind of got to go through and make sure, look, yeah, okay, everything does work on it, and I think that's really cool. I think that's an invaluable asset as well, is just to check those out, just to make sure everything is working properly, because something might not be working, you might not know, because it's never worked on your machine, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you just didn't have any idea.
So, yeah, man, I have been having a blast on that, and my favorite on that entire thing is Taxi. And it's a Williams System 11 as well, and the cool thing, basically with this one, I'm not going to get into the rule set because nobody cares, but you have to pick up 5 passengers before you can get the jackpot. And one of the passengers is actually Pinbot, of all people. So, which is pretty cool. You hear Pinbot going, taxi, taxi, yo, taxi.
Yeah.
And shit like that, which is actually, it's kind of annoying, but it's funny that it's Pinbot too, because I love Pinbot. But Taxi has turned into and Gorgar have turned into 2 of my favorites, and it kind of makes me sick too, because I could have bought a perfect condition Gorgar for $800 a month ago, but I just whatever. But so anyway, for the 3DS, since you got me on that kick, once again, I've just been playing the crap out of that, and it's cool because this game too, look, the back glass is on the bottom screen. and then the actual pinball table is on the top screen because obviously you want the 3D. That little bit of depth that it gives you with the 3DS is actually pretty invaluable because I played a lot of pinball simulations, and without the 3D, obviously it's not as fun, and that actually steps it up in my book. But it's cool. Yeah, you can flip the entire system over and play it that way so that the back glass is on the what would normally be the bottom screen, the non-3D screen, and then the pinball table is below with the 3D screen. And actually, I thought it was a dumb idea at first, and it was kind of one of those where I was like, well, I don't know why the hell they would do this. And now I'm like, I totally see why that is necessary and cool. So, man, I've been playing the crap out of that. I know I've said that about 10 times now, but I'm kind of looking back in my 3DS catalog here, and I love the 3DS is like my favorite system right now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it's great.
It has been since I got it.
Like I said, I kind of fell off. I can't overstate this enough, and I think people are like, come on, it's got to be bullshit. The XL version just really did bother me, and I felt it was just a little too bulky, and my hands never fit it right, and it was just a little too much, and I didn't want the big screen. And maybe it's just where I'm at with gaming too, but getting the smaller one and the 3D actually for me is working a hell of a lot better. I'm just back on it. Where my other 3DS, I never wanted to throw it in my bag. I just never wanted to bring it places. I guess all this other stuff, and now it's just like, all right, I got this tiny little thing. Also, the other part is with my Zelda one, I never wanted to bring anywhere because I wanted it to like stay in good condition.
Yeah.
Where with this one, I can throw just shitty faceplates on it and bring it wherever the hell I want to go and like not worry about it.
True, that's a good point. Well, and you're not full of shit either because I like I said last week, I have the old smaller one and I've got the new 3D XL. The 3D is way better on the even the old smaller one. Now I'll say it's faster. Like the new 3DS in general is faster than the old one, and it's nice to just boot right up or shut it right down. I mean, you don't have to even worry about putting it in sleep mode because it's just so fast. But man, I know. I mean, the 3D on the smaller model is just I'm with you. I think it's better.
Yeah.
I mean, we both own each of them at this point, right? We just have the opposite. Like I have the new XL, and you have the new smaller one, right? And you have the old XL, and I have the old smaller one. So
yeah, and I did go check my new 3DS. I sent you that link last week about the different panels.
Yeah, like the top screens.
Yeah, so my Zelda one is apparently the crappier panel on the top screen, and my new one isn't. I gotta be honest with you, man. I've got an eye for this shit. If they're like, hey, the blacks, or turn the screen this way or that way, like, look, if I got to go out of my way to try to figure out what panel I have, I don't care enough because obviously I didn't notice it before.
Yeah, and that's one of the things just to update everybody on what we're even talking about here, because I don't think we mentioned this last time.
We didn't. Good call.
Was that a lot of people are pissed, and yeah, I kind of am. I'm not, but I kind of am. Whereas Nintendo shipped the new 3DS. Was it just the XL? I think it was just the XL.
It looks like most of them were just the XL with either an IPS panel or a
TN.
Or a TN, yeah.
Yeah, which the TN was like I guess some say that they both have their things that are good and bad about them, but I think what's the IPS?
Yeah, most people would want.
I think most people would want that one. It's got darker blacks. I think one of the easiest ways. I mean, the TN panel is cheaper, and it kind of sucks that Nintendo would go that route. But I think one of the ways is it was really hard to find which was which, or like how to even determine. And I did go through and check out my 3DS XL. It seemed like most people had the nicer screens, and that it was less people had the shittier ones, the TN ones. And I guess the consensus was, if you look at your 3DS head on, look at the bottom screen, look at the top screen. If the bottom screen and the top screen are the exact same intensity, brightness, then you got the TN screen. If the top screen is darker, I guess, and more vivid, I guess, then it's probably IPS one. And
and there was a website you could browse to do that black level.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was. Yeah,
and you could
it's
also...
like where basically they have a bunch of it's a black level test, and where they have a bunch of squares. And if you can see, if you start seeing it by about square number 4, you have the TN one. If you don't see it until like 8, then you have the IPS.
Yeah, and then also just viewing angles are better on the IPS. So you could just turn your 3DS sideways, and if it washes out, then it's probably the TN.
I'm pretty sure I have the TN. Which, but the thing is, I'm kind of ticked about it because I have had a little like, but then we've talked about the 3DS XLs not having 3D as good as the smaller ones, and I replaced the top screen in the smaller one, so I don't know what kind of panel that was. But it does tick me off to some extent. Like I haven't really thought about it that much, but I'm just kind of like, if I had my choice, I would have the nicer one, obviously.
Yeah.
But
so
there's no way you can tell out of the box. Apparently.
No, I have a little bit of a theory on this, and obviously I can't prove this in any way. But I had a buddy at work who really, really, really wanted the Fire Emblem edition of the new 3DS XL.
Mm-hmm.
He went through 5 of them, all TN displays, and returned them all and went, nope, apparently this one doesn't have the TN display.
Oh, shit. Really?
Or the IPS.
The IPS.
And I went, well, that's a little ridiculous. If you already had a new 3DS XL with did you want the custom one or not? I thought it was a little crazy, but he kept trying because he's heard of people getting a IPS display in the Fire Emblem version. That's what he wanted, and then he gave up. But
I kind of got the impression that it was that the IPS were like more common, but apparently it doesn't sound like they are.
No, that's where my theory is. I wonder if in the non-limited release versions they threw the IPS in, but in these custom runs where they were doing custom art and everything else, they were like, could throw in the TN display.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if they have that kind of level of quality control on their production where all of a sudden, the Fire Emblem ones were mostly TN and then the normal red and blacks were all IPS. I have no idea if that was a thing or if there's a reason they would have done it. But yeah, I was under the impression too that most of them were IPS. But in the case of this Fire Emblem edition, he went through 5 and couldn't find one with the IPS. So,
well, I knew right when you sent me that thing too. I was like, I guarantee I have the shittiest one because with my experience with it, there have been some stuff that have bothered me about it. I was telling you originally when I got it, I was like, it's okay, like the eye tracking, because the display that was in like Best Buy before I bought it was like bright on, no problems whatsoever. And then the one that I got, it was like. I don't know. It's love-hate relationship with the, eye tracking. Nice job, by the way.
Did you catch that?
Totally caught that.
I hope the recording caught that.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Don't mention what it was, though.
No.
If you know what we're talking about right now, tweet me what it was, and I will send you something. I'll send you something retro gaming if you know what we're talking about.
Right on.
I don't know what yet, but I'll find something
appropriate for the occasion.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on the thing. I kind of don't care. I kind of don't really think about it much. But then I'm kind of like, God, yeah, that's probably why. It's kind of
the No Man's Sky thing for me of like, I just feel like it's bullshit. Not that they promised one display or the other. Well, in this example, I guess it's not No Man's Sky but like if there's a version out there that's better, like that's the one I want.
Yeah, totally.
If you're
paying the same amount of money, then of course that's the one that I want.
It's kind of like GameStop being like, "Oh, you don't play games, you just collect them." When I want the original case and inserts, if I'm paying the same, yes, I want the original case.
Well, and not to mention, I play the crap out of the thing, so I don't want to have to hassle with subpar performance, So anyway, even though I do, but I'm pretty sure I got the crappier display. I'm pretty sure I'm one of those unfortunate fools who ended up with that. But there's really no way you can get around it. You either get it or you don't. So
yeah.
And I'm not about, especially with the kerfluffle with Best Buy, like trying to get them to get me that machine. there's no way that I'd go back and try to return it. Like we got the biggest bonehead Best Buy ever that's by me. So anyway.
Yeah. Oh, hey, by the way, I forgot to tell you. So remember a couple weeks ago, I was telling this story about my kerfuffle at GameStop?
Yeah.
So those guys that mentioned oh, you just collect games, you don't play them, those DBs.
Uh-huh.
What I didn't mention was they told me if you're really concerned about the original case and stuff, if you order it online, there's a guarantee that you'll get the original case and artwork and stuff.
Really?
Turns out that used to be a guarantee and is no longer a guarantee. But I did pull the trigger to see if that was a thing.
Yep.
On a Vita game that's like $60 on eBay, but was only $30 on their website. Mm-hmm. I did not get the original case and artwork, but because I had there's a return policy, I just went back up and returned it.
Huh.
But, again, just them being jackasses and no, you still get it. Like, you don't even know the policies of your own store, you morons.
Yeah, exactly.
So that kind of pissed me off. I mean, it didn't piss me off, but it was just like another kind of deal where it was like, oh, yeah, you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, let me throw this in there too, because I think we could easily throw it in there. The Humble Bundle, you had pointed this out. I want to give that one props because there's a super cool Humble Bundle that is coming out. This one is definitely very dear to our hearts, at least. It's the Sierra Collection.
Yeah, the Sierra Collection, absolutely.
Because we grew up playing like Space Quest, King's Quest, Leisure Suit Larry, all that, Police Quest, like all the Quest games, all the was it Rob Lowe? I can't remember the dude's name or whatever, but man, those are such awesome games, and I always find myself time and time again thinking, God, I'm going to go back, I'm going to start one of those games, and I never do. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yep.
So, props to Mike for bringing this up, or for bringing it to my attention. I'm really glad you did, because I'm about to jump on this as soon as I can remember my PayPal password. So if you pay $1 or more, you get the Space Quest collection, which is totally worth $1. Police Quest.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, your name.
And the Police Quest collection, which is totally worth $1. And Phantasmagoria 1 and 2, which was also another one of those like that same era, which, I never had that particular one, but it was always one where, with Sierra games, you'd always have the demos of the other stuff. And, that was always a demo where I was like, I'm going to get that game. And I just never did. But the other one is Shiftlings, which I have no idea what that is. It must be a newer Sierra game or just one that
so this is a deal that's came after, obviously, the Activision acquired Sierra at some point, and they re-rolled out the brand with the release of the new King's Quest series, which is a reboot of the old King's Quest series, which we will get to in a moment.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's $1 or more. $1 or more, you get that. And then I guess if you pay, was it $12, $12.71 or more, you also get Arcanum, which again is another one I'm not familiar with. Time Shift, Quest for Glory. I do remember that one. Quest for Glory was my old roommate. Gosh, this was back in like 2000, or I think. Remember Jason?
Your old roommate, drummer guy.
Yeah. He would sit and play Quest for Glory for like hours every single day, and it was just one of those like non-ending, like Diablo or something like that, where it just doesn't really end. Like the online. It was like an early online game.
Kind of like an MMO, but not an MMO, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of the right one here. And he's like, yeah, I could sell my character for like $900 or something like that right now. I've seen people do it. And I was like, what? Whatever. So anyways, Quest for Glory. I don't have really good memories of that one because I never really got into it. But it always looks super dumb to me. But Gabriel Knight Sins of the Father. So Gabriel Knight 1 through 3. Gabriel Knight, the Sins of the Father, was always one that I wanted to play, but I guess I never got it. I didn't even know there was a second and third one. But that's the reason I will at least be paying $12.71. So that's, if you paid $12.71, you get all those things in it, the $15 or more. You get Caesar 3 and 4, which I remember those games being out. I just never was into them. I don't know if they're like Risk or something like that. Did you ever play those games?
No, I don't. I don't have any recollection or input there.
Yeah, Geometry Wars. No idea what that is.
Geometry Wars is cool.
Is it? Have you played it? It looks like Tempest.
It is. No, I haven't, but people hold it in high regard. It actually was one of the earlier Xbox Live games, and maybe 3DS. I don't know, but Geometry Wars is supposed to be the dope shit.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I was just looking at the video now. It actually does look cool. So you also get that, and then you get the King's Quest collection, which why wouldn't you want all 7 of those? And then Velocity, which I don't know what
Velocity is really good. I played that either on PS4 or PS3. I don't recall, but it's kind of a side runner 2D scroller. Really fun. I didn't end up beating it, but certainly I got it on PlayStation for like $9 or something during a PSN sale. But it's actually worth it, and it's actually super fun.
Right on. So the last one, if you spend $20, you get all the things, and then the King's Quest 5-chapter, I guess the King's Quest complete collection. Did you ever play any of those?
Well, no, that's the new re-release.
Right. It's the re-release.
So I didn't. So here's the thing here.
It's just 5 chapters, though.
It is 5 chapters in that blog. So this is the thing. These are the kind of the. It's not Telltale, but it goes along that chapter release or episode release cycle.
Yeah,
I think they're only at I think they've only released episode 1 through 3 to this point.
Oh, so you get like
yeah, and each episode's going to be 2 to 3 hours. And so for you're going to get 15 hours of gameplay probably out of the 5. But I just want to note that the epilogue, the only way you can acquire the epilogue is buying the actual labeled King's Quest complete collection. If you buy just one of the episodes and then buy the season pass, you do not get the epilogue.
Really?
And the cheapest that the complete collection has been on Steam to this point, I think, is $10. So for $20 to get all that stuff, I actually, right before we started the podcast, I spent the $20. And so I think that's probably the way to go. But if you don't want to play the newer ones, maybe not. But the reviews for it have been phenomenal so far. So.
Yeah, well, I'm probably I'm just gonna do the 20. Sierra has always, like I said, been really dear to my heart. I love Sierra. I totally grew up on Sierra games, including I guess Leisure Suit Larry's not on there, which is kind of disappointing. But what an awesome value. Again, Space Quest collection. I love all. I think I've beat every single one of the Space Quest games, and I love it. That's actually kind of my go-to. I beat all the Police Quest up till they had the SWAT games. I guess I don't even know if this includes Police Quest SWAT. But anyway, I beat the 1, 2, and 3 at least. Those are awesome games. I want to play Gabriel Knight. It's just one, that I hadn't played. King's Quest Collection. I got to play that, and obviously the remastered one. I'm looking forward to that too. So.
Yeah, for the $20, it's one of those things, man, where it's like I didn't get into a lot of the Sierra stuff outside of Leisure Suit Larry, mostly because Leisure spoke to me on a sexual level.
Yes, it did.
In my adolescence. But look, for the $20, obviously you look at GOG and what some of this stuff costs, or even Steam. Getting Police Quest, Space Quest, and King's Quest, just those is worth it. Then you throw in the fact that you're getting the new King's Quest, and then all of a sudden there's some games that are like, I don't know if I'm going to play these or not, but it's going to be cool enough to at least check those out. Gabriel Knight, maybe for you, Velocity 2X, I think would be a fun game. and then I never played Phantasmagoria. Is that how?
Phantasmagoria?
Yeah, Phantasmagoria. Yeah, I'd like to check that out. So, man, $20, that's a huge value. And at the end of the day, if you don't want to spend the 15, I would probably not even opt for the 1271 for $1. $1. You get Police Quest, Space Quest, I can't even find
Phantasmagoria.
Phantasmagoria.
1 and 2.
1 and 2, yeah. And then Shiftlings, which I don't know what that is, but yeah, dude, $1? $1.
Yeah.
Be a dollar millionaire.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, back in the day, I mean, because back in the day, especially with like earlier PC gaming, when it was still super nerdy, a lot of my nerd friends had, Police Quest and Space Quest and King's Quest games and stuff like that. So I would always get those. I remember like Freddy Farkas, Frontier Pharmacist, just all the goofy Sierra games with Allo. Allo was the guy's name, I think, right?
Yeah, it was Allo, yeah.
So, and obviously all the Leisure Suit Larry games, I bought the entire collection. Do you still have that Leisure Suit Larry complete collection for the PC that I traded you for something?
I do, and I actually have it boxed, and I have all the collectibles that came with it. It's at my parents' house, I believe. I do have it. I did not get rid of it. But the funny part is, having found that, I was like, "What's this worth?" And then I checked eBay. You can still find it for like $20.
I might buy it for $20 to get that back. Not that you can play it on any modern.
No,
PC.
You can't play it on anything, but it's kind of cool to have.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I spent quite a bit of money on that at one point. So, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm totally going to do that as soon as we get done with the podcast. Because again, I just, off the top of my head, I got to think of my stupid PayPal password. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That is like a slam dunk. There have actually been a lot of good Humble Bundles this year. I bought several of them. One of them was the 3DS one that had, the Street Fighter 4 and Retro City Rampage and just a bunch of crap that I thought was really cool. Rhythm Thief or whatever, which was dumb. I didn't like that game. But anyway, props to them for appealing to me this year.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, them humble bundles are, just if they've got what you want, they're always a tremendous deal, and this is one of those. Yeah, good on them for making that happen.
So I'm hopefully within the next couple weeks here. By the way, just switch gears just for a second because I'm kind of wrapping up everything that I wanted to talk about today. But still no Ghostbusters in sight. But my friend Kyle, no, my phone doesn't even work. My friend Kyle is like a getter. Like he's totally, the best friend you can have in arcade collecting, because he is a guy that just finds massive amounts of awesome stuff. And he tells me this week that he's about to swing a deal for like all these just kick-ass pinball machines, two of which that I'm really, really interested in. One is Theater of Magic, which is the same people that did Tales of the Arabian Nights for the most part. The art director wasn't the same person, but for the most part, they're made by the same people. Theater of Magic on Pinside right now is like number 2 as far as the top. In their top 100, it's number 2. So it is a kick-ass game, kind of a hard one to find. But anyway, my buddy Kyle's getting it, and I think he's trying to coerce me to give him my big stack of money that I currently have waiting for Ghostbusters. And if that comes along, if it's in decent shape, I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any debate here. Screw the Ghostbusters at that point. Theater of Magic is like, I'm probably not going to have another chance to get. That's another one of those, like, a couple of years from now, it's going to be like $7,000, and then it's going to just be out of my range,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Indiana Jones, the Williams Indiana Jones the pinball adventure is awesome. It's so good. That's another one that's probably around the same price that currently, that I think that was number 6 on Pinside's top 100. So if he ends up getting this, I mean, not to mention all the other great pinball titles that he's getting as well. If he ends up getting that, because usually he looks to unload them just to make some quick cash, I'm like, I'm gonna have a hard time not jumping on that because I still don't see any Ghostbusters. There's still not a Ghostbusters at my house. And one way or another, I just wish that situation would be resolved. I have about $5,000 burning a hole in my pocket right now.
I know, that's tough, isn't it?
It is. I can't believe the fact that I'm proud of myself. I haven't spent it. I haven't done any impulse buys. There have been several times where I've been like, I was talking about the fishtails last week. I was like, oh my God, why do you have to do this to me?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of in the same boat because I have about $4,500 sitting plus a couple other things to sell now that I got my headphones and headphone amp and everything squared away. And I'm just waiting to pay off a loan that I used it for a vacation or some other debts. And I'm waiting for all of the transactions to clear to figure out how I want to spend the money. But I'm also having this problem of it's also cash and it's hard to not spend it.
That's 100. Yes, agreed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm dying here. I want I've been hyping this up so much in my mind and on the podcast and with everybody I know with the Ghostbusters pin. If I don't, if something else. And here's the thing: Simpsons Pinball Party. If you haven't seen it, this is actually a Stern title, awesome Stern title. Simpsons Pinball Party is just awesome. It's one of my favorite pinballs, and if one of those pop up, I would Simpsons Pinball Party Revenge from Mars, which is the Pinball 2000, which basically looks like there's a hologram on the playfield of the I don't think I could pass either one of those up if one of those shows up. So part of me is kind of crossing my fingers that they don't, but if they did, I think I'd be extremely happy about it, Mm-hmm. So if the Theater of Magic comes along, how could I pass that up? Like I said, I think Internet Pinball Database probably has it somewhere else, but Pinside has it at number 2. Is the number 2 greatest game out ever. So I don't know, man. It's hard to say right now that Ghostbusters is a sure shot because I was told 2 weeks ago that it was going to be 3 to 4 more weeks, and I still haven't heard shit about them shipping. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I mean, if it's not in the cards for that, then so be it. I don't know. Something awesome is in the cards. I know that for sure. So, but anyway, I wanted to throw that in as well. But I think that's kind of wrapping up what I was going to talk about today. What else you got to talk about, Mike?
I don't think I thought I had something to bookend it, but it's come and gone. So I don't think I got anything else.
Well, I think, sometimes the way this works is sometimes we have a ton of things happening in the video game world and sometimes we don't. But, so stay tuned for next. I'm doing a terrible job of wrapping this up. But anyways, that just is what it is. I'm blah, blah, blah. So anyways, what we're going to do, let's go ahead and wrap this up this week. I think we talked about everything we set out to talk about today. So for RetroGameFix.com, the Retro Jones podcast number 88, this is Mitch.
And this is Mike.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.